All right, the dunk contest is dead. I can't defend it anymore. I can't do it. I've been a dunk contest defender for the longest time. For the longest time. Because obviously there's a certain level of nostalgia that it's attached to the dunk contest. And there is a certain level of just wow factor that is attached to the dunk contest. And I've always thought there are ebbs and flows when it comes to the contest itself and how exciting it would be and which participants really matter and all that stuff. But if you look in the past, it was star laden. Obviously, Michael Jordan from the free throw line and all that. Even in recent years, when it hasn't been as star laden, you've had the moments that stand the test of time, and some of them are due to stars participating. And I say recently, Vince Carter is not recent, but I remember the Vince Carter dunk contest, running around the house I was in at the time as a kid, trying to emulate those dunks immediately thereafter. It was one of the most exciting moments of my life. In fact, the two things that I remember wowing me the most at that age are Vince Carter in the dunk contest and Mankind getting thrown off the Hell in a Cell. Those are the two most exciting things I can remember in those years. And since then, the star power has obviously gone away. Now there's been better contests. Obviously, like Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine had a hell of a dunk contest. A hell of a dunk contest. And Aaron Gordon had some of the best dunks you'll ever see in that. I mean, the dunk over the mascot. The dunk over the mascot is one of the coolest things I've seen in my life. I'll pull it up right now. I could watch this dunk at any time. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen before. Aaron Gordon.
Waiting. It's a long drum roll.
Yes, there it is.
Look at that from Zach LaVine. Woo!
Okay. Come on, man.
There's the Gordon dunk.
He does this.
Look at that. Over the dude.
That's a 10.
It was like it was like the mascot was an ottoman or something. Unbelievable dunk. Unbelievable. So I've leaned on that in recent years when people would argue that the dunk contest is dead. And I've also leaned on the fact that what we ask these guys to do is impossible to sustain. I mean, we're like, oh, why don't they get it on the first try? I don't know, because they're doing things that no human being can possibly do. That's why they're not getting it on the first try. Michael Martin says, I thought Mac McClung brought a little something last year, re-energized it. He did, to a certain extent. To a certain extent. But you can only re-energize it so much when nobody knows who you are. Has anyone seen Mac McClung since the dunk contest last year? Anybody? Have you seen him? Because here are the participants that were announced today, the field for this upcoming dunk contest. Mac McClung's back. It's the first time I've seen Mac McClung since last year's dunk contest. You see him over there. Jaylen Brown's the only recognizable person here. And Jacquez Jr., he's been in like trade packages and the like. Good young player. Nothing wrong. I mean, NBA heads know who some of these people are. Obi Toppin's brother? I guarantee you the vast majority of people had no idea who that was. I guarantee you. Even NBA fans. There were a lot of NBA fans who had no idea who that was when it was announced. I mean, shouts to Jaylen Brown in a sense, because Jaylen Brown at least stepped up to the plate. At least stepped up to the plate. But here's the thing. If the real stars were doing it, Jaylen Brown should be the lowest level star. Because Jaylen Brown's a very good basketball player. But he's a B level star. I mean, he's not considered the top guy on his team. Not that he would be better in the dunk contest than Jason Tatum, of course, but he's not an A-level guy. But in this dunk contest with that field, he might as well be Dr. J. Bill L., I remember listening to your ESPN morning show after watching Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. The dude literally sat in the air. Yeah, unbelievable what those guys did. In order for a dunk contest to work, You either have to have the star power or you have to have unbelievable dunkers. And both of those guys were unbelievable dunkers because when that dunk contest went down, they weren't stars yet. I mean, they're still not really stars, but they weren't even known yet at that time. Berkey 711 says that was a good one. I like the Nate Robinson ones as well with Dwight. I mean, what Nate Robinson was able to do at his size is incredible. But like I said, he got a lot of people got on him, I think, for missing, and that's part of it. These guys are doing things. Some of the weakest dunks in the past would be the greatest dunks. Remember when somebody went between their legs? I think it was Isaiah Ryder who might have went between his legs for the first time. I don't see it. Here. My youngest son, Rohan, just walked into my studio. I forgot to lock the door. Do you want to say hello real quick? Say something about the dunk contest? I'm live. I'm live right now. So, this is a really bad interruption. Say, what up, Big Ro? Whoa! All right, go find your Auntie Beats, okay? Go find her. She's not here. I'm going to lock the door, okay? So, that was probably more entertaining than many recent dunk contests. As far as what these guys do, though, where was I? Oh, yeah, Isaiah Ryder. When he goes between his legs, that was maybe the coolest thing anyone had ever seen. And now you got to do it 4 times in a row in order to impress somebody while throwing it off the backboard and dunk it with your nose. Or else people are like, you're weak, you suck. Ivan Schlachter says, my man, Ivan lives in the same town as I do, knows Big Ro very well. He once saved his life, in fact, kind of, sort of. We're watching, it was lacrosse, and my oldest, Raj, was playing lacrosse, and, Ivan's wife goes, your son. And I thought she was talking about Raj because he was near the goal and had the ball in his stick. So I'm like, oh, my son, let me look up. But instead it was Big Ro running onto the field about to get cross-checked by somebody. Gary Suharik says 444. Yeah, you see it in the background there. My favorite album ever. Talked about Jay-Z on the show yesterday. So if you didn't catch that, go back and listen to that. And of course, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with all your friends. Trying to develop a little community here, of course. And yeah, I will take sports questions. Shoot them. That's the reason I'm live. The biggest reason I'm live is so I can talk to you guys. Kevin Zwicker says, I feel like no big star has done a dunk contest since prime Dwight. It died after that. Yeah, I mean, when Jaylen Brown is the biggest star, that's a problem. LeBron should do it now. I mean, LeBron probably should have done it in his prime. Everybody knows I'm a huge LeBron guy. Greatest of all time in my mind. But you can knock him for not doing the dunk contest. But now would be the perfect time for LeBron to do the dunk contest because there'd be no pressure on him to win. There'd be no pressure on LeBron to win the dunk contest. He'd only get praise and accolades, and he might win it too. Dude's 39 years old, going, ham still. Ham's not a phrase. I heard a little kid, a 4th grader, use the term Riz today. I was driving him back from practice. They were talking about how one 4th grader was dating another 4th grader, and it was like, I don't know how he's got a girlfriend. He doesn't have any Riz at all. I was like, yo, where am I? I mean, I guess that happened. I've never used the term Riz in my life because it's a little. I don't like it for one, and obviously it's for younger people. But that got me earlier today. Garrick back in there says, you think Jordan Clarkson is the right fit for the Knicks? Look, I think anybody who gives the Knicks some punch off the bench is the right fit for the Knicks. The Knicks could use some punch off the bench. That's what they're really lacking. I think more than anything else, in making up for Quickly and what they lost with Quickly. Just makes me sad when players would rather do the 3-point contest than the dunk contest. I mean, the 3-point contest has kind of become the thing. And again, I don't blame them in a sense because there's no upside to doing the dunk contest. You have to do the physically impossible to impress anybody. There is nothing anybody can do to impress anybody. We've seen it all. We've seen birthday cakes blown out on the top of the rim. We've seen Superman capes. We've seen cars jumped over. We've seen elbows in the rim. We've seen between the legs. We've seen behind the back, off the back, blah, 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 everything. What are you supposed to do? I mean, LeBron's not even the most inventive dunker. Almost all LeBron's dunks are this. But he does have that power. So when it comes to dunking on somebody, he's right there near the top. Power dunkers. I mean, Sean Kemp back in the day was a great power dunker. Blake Griffin, obviously one of the greatest ever power dunkers. I'm trying to, think of them off the top of my head. Power dunkers generally don't do as well in the dunk contest either. I mean, you need that power to make it look sick at the end to complete it. But the bigger guys, it's tough because you don't see that vert. You don't see the hang time in the air. I mean, the best dunkers are the guys who can hang and fly and flush it with power. I mean, that's why Levine and Gordon were so impressive. And they're not smaller guys either, obviously, but they got up there. And that's why Vince is a power dunker. Or Vince Carter's the greatest dunker of all time, I would say. When you factor everything in, arguably the greatest dunk contest performance of all time. Certainly, in my mind, the most memorable, combined with best executed. So to me, Vince has the win for greatest dunk contest performance of all time because he's a better dunker than Dominique and Jordan were, just like as a dunker. And I think Aaron Gordon and Levine could give him a run for his money, but they didn't have that moment that Vince had. Part of that's the star power. And then Vince has the dunk over Frederick Weiss also, which is the most impressive in-game dunk I've ever seen. Teabag, bro. Like, jump over him in the Olympics. That's the most impressive in-game dunk I've ever seen. So I don't know exactly what the NBA can do about it. I mean, you could try to force stars to go, but what if they get embarrassed? Trying to do this crazy hard thing. What if they get hurt? Why would a star want to be next to, no shade, Mac McClung? I mean, when Jaylen Brown is so much bigger a star than the rest, you're not dealing with stars. And then the three-point shootout is more of a consistent equal field every time. There's no variables. There's no things thrown in there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel like you have to do in the dunk contest. And that's one of the biggest issues. I mean, what they're just trying to do is nearly impossible. So I held on for the longest time. I really did. Because I do think there are ebbs and flows. And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll turn out to be an exciting dunk contest. But I just can't see this anonymous, essentially, field every single season anymore. And we know we're not going to see things that every now and again somebody will throw us something. And McClung did do a great job last year. And you could say he brought the dunk contest back, but nobody was hyped about him after that because he's not a real player. And you only get that impression once. I don't think he comes back and blows people away this time, right? So it's a bummer. And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I mean, you could blame LeBron. Everybody likes to blame LeBron for something. You could blame Adam Silver. I just blame evolution and us already seeing everything and dunks, highlights being so prevalent everywhere where high school kids and professional dunkers are doing things that in order to be one of the best dunkers, you have to be able to do. And that's the issue. So, RIP dunk contest. It's been real. It's been real. I'll still watch it. I'll still watch. The All-Star game finally kind of lost me last year because I've always been a big fan of the All-Star game. I've always defended it. Last year's was embarrassing and pitiful and took some of the shine off of it. And there's been as a lifelong NBA fan who has defended the NBA thick and thin from the people who are like, college basketball is better, like all that stuff over the years. And NBA basketball players are the greatest athletes on the planet. I have had a lot of problems with things in the NBA in recent years. I mean, that All-Star game thing, like I said, pitiful. load management, embarrassing. The way the game is officiated, soft and gross. People just flailing for fouls instead of trying to score. You can't play defense. And people say the defense today sucks. No, it doesn't. I mean, the offensive players are so damn good, it's impossible to stop them. And then if you get anywhere near their airspace, it's a foul. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to play defense? Because when you go back in the day, you look at some of the defense on Jordan and tell me it was great. Get out of here. I mean, the guys who were best equipped to guard Jordan played on his team. Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman played on his team. He was getting guarded by Thunder Dan Marley and Jeff Hornacek, Brian Russell in the finals. I mean, the big thing in the Sonic series was they put Gary Payton on him. He's tiny. I mean, I know he was the glove and everything, but compared to Jordan, he's tiny. The wing defenders in the league now are a whole different animal. It's just you also have to worry about guys pulling up the second they cross half court, which you didn't have to do back in the day. I remember watching an old Knicks Bulls game on what are these, elliptical machine in my last apartment. And I remember in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, the announcer's like, this was their third 3 attempt of the game for the team, or maybe the entire game. I was like, what? Because you would see Harper would come up or whomever would come up and dump the ball to Patrick Ewing, whose back is facing the basket, mind you. And everybody else is hugged to their man, sort of watching him. Nowadays, you got to switch. You got to close out. You got to all over the court. Otherwise, you're going to get your eyes dotted. And it's not just Steph Curry anymore, right? Like everybody, the big man can shoot. And people shoot from the logo all the time. So it's just so much harder to guard players nowadays, not to mention the fact that you can't get near them. Dan Marley was a good player, but come on, like, you know, he wasn't who's supposed to be guarding Michael Jordan. That's all I'm saying. Look at some of the people LeBron's gone against. You know, so I hate to, I don't like to see myself turn into old man who yells at cloud, you know. But yeah, there are things about it that I don't like. Again, Kevin Abreu, this era is soft. Nobody plays defense. You can't play defense. What do you can't? You're near any. I think the NBA needs to adopt like more FIBA style officiating. Let it be a little bit more physical, and not send guys to the free throw line all the time, and not reward flailing and whatever and flopping. But guys shoot from anywhere. I mean, these guys would go into the 80s and 90s and light them up. I promise you, light them up. Wu says Dan Marley would be. Dan Marley was a good player. I didn't mean to make it out like Dan Marley was a bum because he's a white guy or whatever. Very good player. For his era especially. But he would have to be a 3-and-D guy today. You know? A one-on-one tournament. That's not basketball either. I mean, that would probably generate a little bit more excitement. But I also don't like the idea of just rewarding and getting it in people's minds that being a one-on-one player makes you the better player, because that's not basketball either. I mean, some of this stuff is for me teaching now and coaching. So I have that influence me a bit. But, you know, look, I can have these NBA basketball era debates at any time. We should do a daily Jordan LeBron debate. That'd be fun. It's funny when people complain about that, because if you think about it, that's like the origin of sports talk, the bedrock of sports talk. What is it like? This guy's better than that guy, and you sit there and argue all night about it. So I'll never be mad at a Jordan and LeBron debate. We can revisit this. Make sure you get your comments in. I also made a little video earlier today about how the WrestleMania press conference, I think, is going to have more hype than the Super Bowl this week. And I stand by it. I stand by that. I feel like this whole Cody Rhodes thing has taken on a new life. It has made him into a bigger star. It has activated the fan base in such a way where you see this story being covered by outlets who wouldn't otherwise cover pro wrestling and the WWE. And we still haven't got the official announcement on what the matches are going to be. But you know Roman's going to be there. You know Cody's going to be there. And you know Rocky's going to be there, who just got those Rocky Sucks chants last night we were talking about here on this show. So either the Cody fans are going to be mad again, and a lot of it's not just Cody fans, it's wrestling fans at large who have been following the product. And that's the biggest thing for me is you follow the product. They've done such a masterful job in recent times, like logically doing stuff for it to not make any sense. And either they're going to be pissed off again, or some swerve is going to happen to make them happy. And then you're going to have the star power, The Rock and Roman. Most likely Rock and Roman. Most likely, I would guess, Seth, Drew, Cody, maybe. But whatever happens from that is going to be what everybody's talking about. I mean, even George Kittle was getting asked the questions and answering and talking about WWE during the Super Bowl media availability. It was probably I would say, the most talked about clip so far from Super Bowl media availability. It's the one I've seen the most, what George Kittle had to say. Let me see if I can find it. Triple H sent it out and boosted it. So obviously it was seen out there and people, it resonated with people. Here's what George Kittle said about that whole situation. I've talked to Kittle about wrestling in the past too. Obviously, he's a big wrestling guy, but that's what the players are being asked about. Not even Taylor Swift so much anymore. And this was George Kittle.
We're starting off hot, and I love it. That is the question I've been wanting to. Ooh. So it's fun. You see everything online, and everyone's talking about we want Cody, or it's Roman and The Rock. You know what? I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I like Roman Reigns. The Rock, hey, he coined the term the people's tight end, so I'm indebted to The Rock. Huge fan of him. Honestly, my dream would be like kind of a setup. Roman shows up. I saw this online. Roman shows up, signs a contract. Cody's on the other side. The Rock referees. Wouldn't that be fun and special? Let's make it fun and interesting. That was not my own idea, but I thought it was really cool.
So that was George Kittle, answering the question there at Super Bowl Radio Row. If you've ever been around, here's the thing about the Super Bowl. The NFL season ends after the conference championship games. That's when it's over. That's when it's done with. That's when the football season ends. The Super Bowl is its own spectacle thing. People get together for it. People watch the halftime show. They go to parties. They get boxes and all those things. But it's not the football game that's really the center of attention anymore, like it is to see who goes to the Super Bowl. And then by the time you get there, all the storylines have been exhausted. All the storylines have been exhausted. So nobody has anything else to say. Nothing new to say. You get to these tired stories that are repeated over and over again. There's nothing new to say. So at that point, there's not really much buzz around the actual game or the people that are talking about the game. There's not. People are going to watch. I say it all the time. The NFL is the single most popular thing in this country. So this is not me saying the NFL is not popular. It's the single most popular thing in this country. Almost everything else is a bug on the windshield. But when you're talking about buzz, what have you heard leading into the Super Bowl? What's new? What's exciting? We all know about Patrick Mahomes. We all know about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. We all know about Brock Purdy. We can't debate whether he's a lead over and over again or, he's a game manager or whatever the damn conversation is at a given time. But what's going on in WWE is fresh, new, and exciting and just happened and controversial. You damn well know whatever happens at that press conference in Vegas is going to be talked about more than any single quote from this week leading into the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I sincerely believe that. Sincerely believe that. Bill L says, who are your kids' favorite wrestlers? Raj's favorite wrestler right now is main event Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso, followed by Cody, I think, and Sami Zayn. He likes those three the best. Ronnie, my daughter's favorite wrestler, is Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, and I think Becky Lynch is second, but definitely Bianca Belair. And Rohan, who barged in here earlier, he switches it up sometimes. Today he said it was Cody. He used to always do the acknowledged tribal chief anytime the music hit. He said CM Punk recently too. And then he's also mentioned a wrestler who I don't know if we're still allowed to say his name, but he broke the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania. Dun, 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 which is a segue into this. Kevin Zwicker, with the Vince allegations still in the air and not knowing the fallout of who stays and who goes, it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of the year, The Rock becomes the most powerful man in wrestling. The Rock is on that TKO board right now. It's part of that deal. And that was that is part of why people have a backlash to him, because it feels corporate. It feels Hollywood. And it doesn't smell right to me either. Again, everything they've done has made sense up until this point, which makes me believe there was some sort of edict from above. And I don't know if it was people begging The Rock to get attention off Vince, or begging The Rock because CM Punk got hurt and they needed some more star power for WrestleMania, or The Rock saying, I'm The Rock and everybody loves me, despite Black Adam failing and his ego being hurt. I don't know. Can't really argue with this. About that, wrestling fans need help sending death threats to The Rock daughter. Really, look, that's just like anything else. When something like that happens, it's such a small segment of the population that, but of course, no one should do that to anybody or treat anybody that way. About anything, really. Wu says it wouldn't be as talked about if it was Cody and Roman. The Rock brought convo. Yes, he did. That is fair. However, like I said, there would have been a level of satisfaction with Cody winning and how beautifully the story would have been told. And I don't think there would be this backlash. People were excited about Rock and Roman. I mean, when Rock came out and said, should I sit at the head of the table? People were excited. The problem is that Cody won the Rumble. So it didn't make sense for him to give up his spot. That was the problem. Not that Rock and Roman are going against each other. That Cody gave up his spot. And that made no sense. It made him look weak at the time. And just was nonsensical. I have not seen Black Adam, so I don't have a review. Let's be honest, all this hype is just covering up what's happening with Vince. Perhaps. Here's the thing with Vince. I mean, they sort of had cut ties with Vince already. They had, cut ties with Vince already, and basically, clearly, were preparing for what other shoes were going to drop. Now, the problem is if other people are implicated in what happened with Vince. And the Vince thing is tough. The Vince thing is tough because, look, if you grew up loving wrestling, Vince had to kind of be a hero of yours. I mean, Vince McMahon is the single most important person in the history of professional wrestling. He's the one that made it into a mainstream, the phenomenon that it is. He is. I mean, Hulk Hogan was a big part of that, who also has some things about him people don't like. And Vince was so good at that Mr. McMahon character. I guess we see why now. So good at it that him and Steve Austin was magic. It was magic. And it's just a shame. I mean, if everything that's in there is true, it's a shame that it happened. first of all, and that it happened to people, first of all. Second of all, and much less important, it's a shame that we all have to kind of push that to the side and say, we're done with this guy who was such a big part of how we came up. Now, I want to see the documentary. And also with stuff like this, when I have to be very careful with legal stuff, where I'm sure Vince did some dirty, dirty stuff. There's no doubt in my mind. But as far as every allegation, you need to know what actually the truth is and let it play out a little bit. Because you can't just, sometimes you get caught up in the initial allegations. And this is separate from Vince McMahon, like in any situation. I want to see the Netflix documentary on him, though. That is going to be something else. Because Vince is one of the, it's like fascinating is such a positive word. But I do think he's fascinating. Rahola, 88. Rihala, I guess I should say, right? We met on the train on the way to Barclays for a Nets game. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. If I had the power to change one WrestleMania match ending, what is it going to be? I kind of wish Shawn had gotten one of those two with Taker. I'm just thinking of like the best matches I've ever seen. And I was a Shawn guy. But I get it too. I know we're not allowed to talk about it anymore, but I like Brock beating Taker because that what did it do? It shocked people. And anytime you're still talking about something, it's effective. Now, this Cody and Rock situation, I think we could be talking about it in 20, 30 years, maybe for a different reason, sort of akin to the Montreal Screwjob. Kevin Zwicker, should WWE pivot and bring back Hollywood Rock with it? Yes. I think the fans are going to be rooting for Roman regardless. So you might as well, at that point, lean into it. I think The Rock also needs something to get that juice back. To be honest, I felt like, I said this on last night's show, I think, he's been kind of lame and relying on catchphrases. So, yeah. I could see that. And you can't deny The Rock's star power, though. For all the dislikes on the YouTube video, the views are higher. And that's a, testament to The Rock's star power. It is. You can't deny it. Speaking of star power, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I saw Drake trending this morning. And I was like, yep. I like the Homer Simpson meme. I'm going back into the bushes. We'll have the Drake conversation one day, but not about this. Because Drake, there are people who champion him for the GOAT debate. And I get it. Like, as far as the most important hip hop artists of the, last couple decades, he's the guy. It was Eminem. It was like Dre and Snoop, Eminem, Hove, Eminem, 50 for a second. DMX had that quick run. But really, like, the icons, Dre and Snoop, Hove, Wayne, Kanye, Drake. And Drake is more in the Kanye class where you sort of differentiate them. And as crazy and reprehensible as some of what Kanye says is, I'd still take Kanye head up against Drake, like, musically. I prefer Kanye's stuff. I think it's more daring, more original. In fact, if you were to ask me what my favorite Drake song is, I'd probably tell you, "Hold On, We're Going Home." You can play that anyway. That's a great song. But it's not a rap song. And he's got some good rap songs. Don't get me wrong. And he's got songs that people love. And he's been super successful. But I ain't really rock with him since Views. It all feels stale. And this last record, just the content was gross and disgusting and creepy to me, considering where he is in his life. Not to mention he got ate up by Pusha T. But even before that, he was not my favorite. And I never would sit here and tell you I thought he was one of the best rappers. I wouldn't. Michael Martin says Biggie and Pac. Well, yeah, I mean, Pac was sort of that rebel. He captured that energy. Biggie and Pac, I should have mentioned them when I was listing people off, no question. Obviously, there's greats before that. Rakim revolutionized rap delivery. Run DMC, helped break the genre. Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, so many. But um, Biggie and Pac's, Biggie's catalog was not the same thing. I'm not going to say, like, I'm not most deaf here. I'm not going to say he makes Target music or whatever. I didn't know why Target had to catch a stray or shopping music. I like Donda was better than that Certified Lover Boy crap. I'll tell you that much. I'm not hating. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I mean, if I were hating, I would say he's a scrub. Like, he's a legend. He's one of, what did he say? Taylor Swift's the only person he respects. I mean, he's the only other person that's even close to her level right now, maybe. But I can't take you seriously if you put Drake against like Jay. Like, it's just not the same level to me. But he is the Jay of this generation. I feel like Drake and Brown are the same. Doesn't matter what great things they accomplish, and never be called the GOAT by old heads. See, but it's not me being an old head either. It's just a preference thing. I think his music's a little stale and boring. And like I said, I think his content recently was gross and creepy. But he's made some bangers. He's made some tunes. And he's inarguably super successful. What is the collab that never happened that you wish did? Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? Can I say a collab that did happen that I would like to see again properly is Hove and J. Cole. I would like to see that done properly post like Star is Born, which is a great song. Mr. Nice Watch. Kendrick and Hove don't really have that. They have the Don't Kill My Vibe remix, which Hove got on, but like together, like an original track, I don't think they have one. Other collabs that never happened that I wish did. What about like a Wu-Tang Jay-Z record? The closest I think we got was the Andre 3000 and Jay too. Because he was on the Pop and Tags joint with Killer Mike and Big Boy. It was like an Outkast song in a sense, but Three Stacks wasn't on it. And then when it comes to Wu-Tang, he and Kanye had the joint off Watch the Throne, me and the RZA Connect. And So Appalled always felt like kind of like a Wu-Tang song to me. So I think RZA produced it, and it gave me that Wu-Tang vibe, that posse cut. But Jay was never on with the Clan either. So those are some of the ones that pop into my head. I'm sure there's others that I'm missing. Really good chat today, guys. It's encouraging. A lot of you getting involved tonight and participating in the conversation, and I see it from all of the different places that I'm streaming to right now. I got to take this banner down. I'm sorry. I can't keep looking at that. Maybe it drew some people in, but I can't keep looking at that. Really good comment section, like I said. Tomorrow's show may be a guest show, maybe the first guest show. I got to confirm it, but been working on locking in the first guest. So depending on when that schedules line up, there's a chance that I pre-record that and play that tomorrow night. There's a chance it's live. There's a chance it's both. We'll see. But Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m., right here, the Robin Lundberg Show. Not tomorrow, but at some point. We talked like less than a week ago. I hadn't spoken to Max in a minute, and we talked less than a week ago. Obviously Ryan Rucco, and I'll reach out to Kaz and some of the people that I've done stuff with in the past. Keith McPherson, Drizzy. I'll take Drizzy if we can get him. I would love Drake to come. I would love to talk to Drake. I would love to talk to Drake. No disrespect. And I would ask him tough questions too. I would love to talk to Drake. And then I would be famous. Who's that Bobby chick? I mean, she did that one show, and the fact that Drake was on, like, there's no question that Drake has that power, and that you can't take away from him. He's I mean, he's right. I mean, second to Taylor Swift, I would say. Taylor Swift just really has the juice. And it was, like, it's funny. I know I'm a big Jay guy, but people always try to diss him and say he was never the biggest in his era, or, he's famous because his wife. That man is like 50 years old and came out in 1996 and still owned the news cycle after the Grammys. So respect where it's due. Kevin Zwicker, that live show after the press conference on Thursday, going to be crazy. I wouldn't miss that. That's definitely coming your way. Can't wait to see what happens there. I mean, at this point, I'm prepared for it to be Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth in some version. I don't think they're switching it now. But they noticed it. They had to. And I don't think they expected Rocky sucks chance. Of course, Jay-Z is goated. He is the GOAT. All right, guys, this has been another edition of the Robin Lundberg Show. Like I said, Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. here on the YouTube machine, streaming Facebook and X as well. Appreciate you guys in the comments. It really does mean a lot to me. The fact that engagement is there touches me, warms my heart, and inspires me to keep going. I'm kind of liking the facial hair, by the way. You guys voted on keeping it. I did a poll on Instagram. People on Instagram voted on keeping it. So I'm going to see how it goes. New era, new look. It's the Robin Lundberg Show. Back tomorrow. Same Robin time. Same Robin channel.